This is the voice of freedom. We are not one voice. We are many. We are your voice. But we can only be effective if you use your voice. Your voice. This is the voice of freedom. We will not hide from the truth. We will ask the hard questions until we are sure we have the truth. Welcome to the voice of freedom, where your voice will never be silenced.
G'day folks, how you going? Well, sorry about the hair. I've got to tell you, down south, bloody cold. I've been through the southern Highlands over the last couple of days. I've been down in Wollongong, and I've got to tell you, I bought a beanie, and you can see it's not doing the best for my hair. But anyway, we're not worried about hair. Thank you, God, thank you to Brad and the Co from the Cali, because this hoodie is just the warmest thing ever. I haven't been out of it. It needs a wash. Hopefully it'll get that tonight. So sorry about last night. We were going to do another Magna Carta 1215 episode last night. I got a hold of Fitz. I just said it wasn't possible. I had some people I had to meet up with that I wasn't expecting. So thank you for your forbearance with that. There is a bit of news floating around today. Of course, the Aussie Cossack has appeared in court today, and they are trying very hard to get him out of jail. He has been moved, as we've discussed recently, to I guess a low security prison. He's been allowed into general population. He's had the terrorist restriction removed from him, or the mark that they put on him that kept him in solitary. And it looks like today he has been successful in court and will be released on the 16th of September. That means this Friday. So Mrs. Cossack is overjoyed. Sent a text through to me just after 2 o'clock saying, 16th, we're very happy. Everybody is ecstatic. And here's a little bit of news about Simeon. So we all know that he went in to have a bit of a look at, well, not a bit of a look at. He went in and declared himself on a hunger strike. We don't know exactly how long the hunger strike worked, but it seems to have done him some good, because he's coming out 15 kilos lighter. He'll be down to fighting weight, trust me. And we can't wait to see him come out swinging. So Friday, the Aussie Cossack will be released from jail, and we can't wait. And apparently, I haven't spoken to Mrs. Cossack. We've just texted, because as you would appreciate, she's flat out, I'm sure, today. I'll keep an eye out if she replies to a couple of things. But I asked her if there were any restrictions put on him on his release. And she said no. So I think you can probably expect the Aussie Cossack will have video going as he is coming out of the prison. As soon as they hand him his phone back, he'll be turning it on, I would suggest. So keep an eye on the Aussie Cossack channel on Friday. I'm sure Mrs. Cossack will be putting something up on the Aussie Cossack channel today, just to let people know what's gone on there. So yeah, at the moment, I have no further news as to any leftovers from that case, whether or not he won the appeal today and has had the case essentially ended today, which means he gets out on Friday. He would have had to have gone back because he would need to pass through the system to get out of it. And apparently he has a fair bit of mail to collect. So he's probably got to organise a small truck to come and pick up the amount of postcards and books and associated other things that have been sent to him. So great news is the Aussie Cossack is out, and without any restrictions placed on him, that should mean that we'll be able to hear from him. And I'm sure he won't be quiet from Friday, at least maybe over the weekend. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Unfortunately, I'm going to miss him, which is a bit of a bummer, but that happens. So I noticed somebody says, nice new digs. Yes, we have lovely new digs. In fact, I'm sitting in a tiny house at the moment out behind somebody's place in Sydney. They've been very kind to put myself and my daughter and our dog up, which is just as well, because they have two dogs of their own, Lily, who is just magnificent, and Toby, who is a half dingo. And they all get along famously with our little one, Chili. So, yes, it's a very harmonious relationship around here at the moment. Thankfully, these folks don't live too far from where the Sydney show is going to be on Thursday night. Now, if you were looking for tickets to come to the restaurant, Maldini's restaurant on the Nepean River at Penrith, around the Emu Plains area, I want to say, then unfortunately it's sold out at the moment. It's a reasonably small venue. It only has about 150 people we can cater for. So those tickets have already been allocated. However, there is a waiting list for people that do not turn up. So by all means, you can contact the organisers and see whether or not you can get yourself on that list. But I do know that the list has extended now beyond 50 or 60 people. That indicates we probably need a bigger room, or we need to come back and do another show. So one or the other will happen. Well, we'll either come back and get a bigger room and do another show, or we'll come back and do another show at Maldini's and try and get a whole bunch of new people in. I am a little bit pressed for time. As I said, I won't be able to be here for the Cossacks release on Friday. Not that I expect you'd particularly want to see me after being in prison for however many months it's been, 8 months. So 6 months, I think. So, I'm not too worried about that. I do have other commitments back in Queensland for the next 2 weeks. I'll be pulling a breakfast radio show on the Sunshine Coast for a couple of weeks. But I will be doing a show on the Sunshine Coast. So if you would like to catch up, I think it's the 21st of September. It's a Wednesday. We'll be doing the show from the waterfront hotel in Diddillaba. Now, call the Waterfront Hotel. Tell them you want to get tickets for the show. We are prioritising people who are booking for dinner, because the pub has been absolutely wonderful in donating the room to us for the evening. We don't have to pay for the room. But they did say, look, it'd be nice if a few people turned up for dinner. And I think that's the way we're doing things. We want to scratch businesses back who will help us. So they were kind enough to donate their facilities, and I mean all their facilities. And if we can go there and have a beer and a meal beforehand, I'd love for you to come along and join me. Their meals start very early at the waterfront. I think you can order a meal from 5:30. Our show will start 7:30. And as I say, tickets will be prioritised to those folks who have a meal with us first. And then whatever's left will fill the room up. So that's in Diddillaba on the Sunshine Coast on the 21st. If that happens to get oversubscribed, we will do another show on the 28th, a week later, just because I will still be on the Sunshine Coast and it's easy enough to do. So we'll do that. Then there are plans to go to Melbourne, go down and see Mr. Bergwerf and co down there. There is some interesting gatherings expected in October in Melbourne, one on the 7th. There's another one being talked about on the 17th. I don't know enough about either to recommend you go to them just yet. I am going to look into what they are trying to enact or to have happen. I'm hearing various different things, particularly about the 17th, some of them quite concerning. So before I say anything about that, I want to go and check out the details, get the full details from the organisers and what they're planning, so that, I don't screw it up and get the details wrong. Pub food is pretty cheap. Aaron, yes, pub food is pretty cheap. And I've got to tell you, I've had a couple of meals at the Waterfront Hotel, absolutely spectacular and very cheap. I mean, I think the dearest thing on the menu is about the biggest steak you can get in the world, and it was only about $33. So, that's one of the great things that's going on there. No microphone at the moment, too, you might notice. I'm trying this just with the laptop. We are going to figure out those audio issues that we experienced last Friday. So let me just explain a little bit about what happened with the last Friday night free-for-all. You might have noticed that we sort of set it up a bit differently, and I wasn't sitting behind a computer or whatever else. We set it up as a 3-camera shoot, a 3-camera TV shoot. That required a couple of other bodies to be behind the equipment pushing the buttons. And I thought it had been set up. We'd done a few tests throughout the day and thought it had been set up all okay. And there was obviously a volume level that was set incorrectly somewhere in the system that hadn't been correctly identified before we went to air. And unfortunately, the two people pushing the buttons weren't able to identify where it was coming from or why. I didn't really know that it was happening until much later in the broadcast, and I probably could have. I certainly know why it happened, so we'll fix that. And I'll plan to do some tests on Thursday before the show to make sure that we do not have that distortion problem again. It's just such a pain in the bum. Like I say, we're trying to do television-y type things on an internet budget, and unfortunately, that means that there are not one audio source you've got to check when it comes to going out, you've got to check 3 or 4, given the bits of equipment we're using, and they have their own amplifiers. It gets very technical. So yeah, that's essentially what happened with all that last week. And because I didn't have any headphones on, I wasn't sitting behind the controls, I didn't identify it, and I probably could have fixed it if I had been there. But anyway, we are living and learning, and I trust you are bearing with us. Thank you so much for your patience. And if you haven't got the patience to put up with it, well, I'm very sorry. I'm obviously going to lose you as a viewer because of it. Yes, Troy, awesome to see that the Aussie Cossack is or will be shortly out of jail. I imagine that Mrs. Cossack will be there at 8 o'clock on Friday morning to pick him up, by which time I expect I'll be somewhere north of Newcastle on the way back to Brisbane. Looking forward to catching up with more people down here in Sydney tomorrow. I've got a few more meetings with people. I had a magnificent meeting today, folks. Can I tell you? I caught up with Auntie Glenda today, and I was going to do a live. We were sitting at Cronulla Beach having a coffee and getting to know each other. It was truly a really great morning. I had the best time meeting her. We had some very interesting and very deep and good, I think, discussions about bringing all Australians together. And featuring heavily in that conversation was our night. So you can expect that there will be some further news regarding the night and what his look will be in the future, in the not too distant future. In fact, I hope to have Auntie Glenda on once she's had time to talk about it with a few other people, and we'll come on here and discuss it and let you in on the secret, because you're going to be part of this solve, folks. If you've got any kind of skills, or you've got a bit of a penchant, or even just an idea that we should be including, then we want to hear about it. Just having a bit of a look now through a few of your questions. Stone Man, got your ticket for Thursday's show. Good stuff, mate. Look forward to seeing you there. Sean Ambrose looks like might be turning up. We'll see if we can tell the story in quick time with him, but that'll be another deal. He's a marvellous historian, Sean, and it turns out that the Ambrose name has very, very deep history here in Australia, dating back to convict times, if you like. And yes, for those racing car fans, he is a relative somewhere down the track of Marcus Ambrose, former V8 supercar race driver, and a few other bits and pieces. The Lizard Queen's passing. Have you been watching it all on television? How exciting is it all? Well, that really depends on how you look at it. I did particularly get a bit of a giggle out of the name that they had on the side of the hearse as they were parading through Edinburgh yesterday. Will Purves. That's the name of the funeral house, apparently. Will Purves. Maybe it's Purvis. We'll leave it at that. Did you notice that the flag draped over the Queen's coffin, both in the hearse and now lying in state, is wrinkled? I think we all know what that means. There are quite a few other little things that people may or may not be noticing. King Charles has been proclaimed king. There has been much talk about the crown, but have you seen a crown? Have you seen a crown anywhere, least of all on his head? He does seem to be wearing a nice brooch, but he is not wearing a crown. He's not carrying the scepter. There has been no crowns rolled out. And not surprisingly, I suppose, they will argue that the coronation isn't for a while yet, and so he doesn't have to put a crown on. But he is the new king. You would have thought you'd seen him in something by now, even one of his mother's tiaras. Let's face it, it is the royal family we're talking about here. Interesting, too, to see what's going on with Andrew. Did you see that there was an Aussie called out, well, not arrested, he was let go, but some local Brits gave him a bit of a pounding, took him to the ground when he yelled out at Andrew as the Queen's hearse was moving past, "You're a dirty old man," or words to that effect. I thought that was bloody hilarious, but appropriate. Well, we are Aussies, aren't we? So we don't mind getting the dig in. CPN, I like Queen, especially Freddie Mercury. I hear you there. It's about the best kind of Queen. Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of things happening with our new King Charles. I seriously doubt he'll ever be reach the coronation oath. I don't think he'll ever take the coronation oath. I think what did I hear today? He is the longest waiting heir to become monarch, and I dare say he may well be one of the shortest reigns, which won't be a bad thing. So just a bit of a recap on what we know so far with what's happening in America, and the fact of the matter is not much. Sort of thought that there might be something happening on the financial markets by now, but I'm not running this show. We're hearing all sorts of dates related to September. We're hearing all sorts of dates related to October. I'm not going to talk to you about dates because we all know about dates, don't we? I mean, I'm not going to pin my hopes on a date simply because I've said a date doesn't mean anything's going to happen. We've discussed all this before, but we are being told that there are big dates coming. And if you are into Gematria, God, if you are any good at Gematria, please contact me because the people I'm trying to get, the global leaders in it, and they're a bit busy at the moment. I simply do not have the ability to follow along how all this works. It's got to do with numbers. I have a mental block. So Gematria apparently is playing a very big role in what's happening. And along the lines of Gematria, we'll talk about in the coming weeks. I'll get Darren on hopefully tomorrow to have a chat about the assembly that will happen in Melbourne on the 11th of the 11th, 22. Now, even I can tell the numbers look pretty interesting, 11, 11, 22 there. So what they add up to, how they get multiplied, subtracted, divided, or whatever they turn into, I have no concept. However, we are told that that date is significant. They want 1 million people at the shrine in Melbourne. Now, the shrine is significant. We still can't fully explain why. It has something to do with documents that were signed there many, 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 many moons ago. It's interesting that the Victoria Barracks are located just across St Kilda Road from the shrine in Melbourne, and they are and have been steeped in much intelligence history in the past. So there are tunnels coming from the shrine to Victoria Barracks. We are aware of those. So there are interesting things afoot, and we are now investigating the shrine. A lot of people are having a good close look at the shrine to try and find out what it was that was signed there, if indeed that is the key, or what other event happened there that does seem to make it key. So if you've got any ideas on that, by all means, send them through to Carl at vofhq.com, and I'll see whether I can pass them on to the people that are sorting that out. God does work in mysterious ways, and God certainly works on his own timeline. So I think we're all experiencing that at the moment. God, I hope I live long enough to see it end, as we all do. It is a fabulous time to be alive if you're half awake. If you're wide awake, it's still a fabulous time, but I don't know that we are truly wide awake. I think we've been made aware of maybe some of the juicier bits, but not all of what's going on. And not all of the horrors. I've been hearing a few interesting tales in the last 36 hours from people who I tend to believe have seen things on Australian soil that people would not necessarily believe. I believe that those stories will be coming out in the mainstream media. So I can't tell you when. I have no idea. It wasn't alluded to, but I know these stories have been captured by others. So we will see something of those hopefully in the future. Who knows? It might be in a war memorial presentation. Could be anything. That's about all I've got for the moment, folks. Living the dream. I don't know about living the dream. We have discovered that traveling around in a Hyundai Tucson with a trailer and a dog is not necessarily the way you want to travel around the countryside. However, we do what we do, and the trailer is very functional. It carries all the gear that we need to come to your town and do a show with you. So if that's what you like, let us know. Carl at vofhq.com. We don't charge to come and do the show. We like to think that maybe people will throw in for a bit of fuel and put us up somewhere. But outside of that, we'll bring the show, we'll bring Magna Carta, we'll bring whatever you want. If you want to learn, we'll come. We'll stay a day, a week, whatever you need. Once again, thank you to the fabulous folks in Singleton, who hosted us last week. We love that. And Brad had a meeting with the council today. I will ring him in the not too distant future. I just know that he's going to be flat out at the bar at the moment. So I'll give him a call very shortly and find out what the upshot was today of the council meeting, the negotiations that took place there in Singleton regarding the red ensign on the roof of the Cali. Fingers crossed. When I left the other day, it looked like a lot of the councillors were very positive, very much behind it. It seemed that there might only have been one or two who had some concerns, and I think Brad will be able to alleviate those concerns in that meeting. That's the hope anyway. So I'll talk to him a little bit later, and I'll bring you back to I'll come back and let you know what the upshot of that was as well. Getting a few ideas about Melbourne, are we? Yes. Hello, Rob, Brad, and Mark. The Galactic Larrikins. I am told they're all turning up on Thursday too for the next show. Can't wait for that. And certainly, if you see the Galactic Larrikins floating around, pat them on the back, buy them a beer, shake their hand. I couldn't do what I'm doing without their help when we go out live. They really are helping me in a huge way. So look after them too when you see them. They are amazing blokes, absolutely amazing blokes. All right, folks, I don't know that I've got too much more to tell you. I haven't heard too much from our friend, Mr. Bosey. He has released The Law of War Part 2. I suggest you go and have a look at that. There will be 10 parts in all, I believe, of the series. So go and have a look and follow some of the advice that he gave us the other night. In fact, follow all the advice he gave us. But the other night up in Singleton, he was telling us to be prepared. If you haven't got a bit of cash on hand, then get it. If you haven't got a bit of food on hand, then buy it. And make sure you've got enough water to get through. It's not going to be too frightening. It's not going to be too long, but there may well be something that's going on. Now, there is a fairly big show happening tonight that I'd want to draw your attention to, and part the reason why I've gone live now and not at 7:30 tonight is because on Dave Guru Graham's channel, Stop the Rot, Sack the Lot, you'll find that on Facebook, he's going to hand over his microphone tonight to his wife, Mel, the lovely Mel. Cass will be there, the super producer, and Mrs. Bosey. So it's the three girls tonight on Guru's channel, Stop the Rot, Sack the Lot. Find that on Facebook if you want to check out what they're doing tonight. That should be a really good chat. The girls, if you like, behind the boys. So you can understand why I haven't got anybody there. But anyway, it's going to be a pretty good chat. Rhiannon Bosey will be there, and Cass and Mel, of course, keeping up our side of the freedom movement. So I think that's getting underway from 6:30, maybe 7 o'clock tonight. Stop the Rot, Sack the Lot on Facebook. Find that. That's Guru's channel. It's going to be a good night tonight. Looking forward to seeing that one. And I would highly recommend that you go and check that one out too. Darren, what are you saying about 12:15? All right, good try. Trial by jury, yes, is the only way that we can go forward. So still waiting for an answer from the 1297ers as to why a Catholic Pope can rewrite an English common law document, and you think it's okay. But don't get too many answers out of those 1297ers regarding that. And if they can't answer that, there's not too much more they can bother answering that I think they've got a regular answer to. Is Albo going to bring Julian Assange home? Well, if Julian Assange comes home, it won't be because of Albo, I can tell you that. It'll have more to do with a certain American rather than anything else. Now, speaking of certain Americans, I haven't got it here. Gonna have to get my wallet out and show you something I was given the other night after the show, folks. One of you wonderful people, one of you dedicated, wonderful, wonderful people came up to me after the show and gave me something very special. I'm not going to show it, or I'm not going to tell you what it was right now. My wallet is out in the car, and I'll have to whiz out and go and get it. But I will get it, and I will bring it back, and I will show you next time we sit down and talk. Very exciting indeed. So thank you very much to Patrick, who gave me a wonderful gift. Got so many wonderful things in Singleton, so much love and so much help for my daughter. I can't thank the people of Singleton enough. You've changed her life. You've changed our lives in the last week. I can't talk about it because I still cry. Huge week, huge changes in our life. Thank you very much, Singleton. It was just fabulous. Cherie and Tracy, particularly, big highlights. And I can't put into words yet just what it means to us, but what it means to me, because it's relieved me, it's strengthened me, it's done so much. So thank you, folks. Might tell you more about it on Thursday night if I can do so without bursting into tears. It's a very emotional thing for me, very emotional thing for my daughter. So thank you very much. And it's just you folks. And I know that's only Singleton. We get this love everywhere we go. And I'm amazed. I'm just amazed. And I can't thank you enough. And that's why we do what we do, because we build this community everywhere. And I'm building this community for you. And I'm just amazed at how I'm feeling it, to be honest. It's not about me. It shouldn't be about me. And yet here I am bursting into tears every time I try and talk about it. It's just, I'm not a crier. So anyway, I'll stop being rambling on. I just wanted to tell you how grateful we are. And thank you for the support that you've given us. There's a lot of people out there who are helping us in various different ways, and I would like to thank our hosts here in Sydney tonight. I'm not sure if I should name them. I'm sure there'll be people who know where they are or who they are, but Michael and Diane are looking after us in Sydney tonight and tomorrow night, and I can't thank them enough for putting up with us. I'd also like to thank the people from the Southern Highlands. We had a marvellous day yesterday. We went to Berrima, met up with some friends there, and had a very interesting chat. Would love to be coming back to Berrima, folks, to do a show in Berrima. And just for the sake of it, I'd love to do it at the jail. Didn't even know there was a jail there. But not only a jail, but one of Australia's, or if not Australia's oldest active jail. It has been closed recently, I believe, and sold. So we might try and find whether or not it's safe to go inside the jail. There are ghost tours, there are all sorts of things. So I don't know, we might line up a day or two and go to Berrima, do a show, do a ghost tour. If you're interested in joining us for that, that'll be pretty cool too. So come along, be part of it. It's all a journey, folks, and we're all building a community. So if your community just happens to like ghost trails and that kind of thing, well, you're going to fit in with my daughter and me. We don't mind that sort of stuff. But we'll go and do anything once, I can tell you that. So got suggestions, got a place you want us to go, we're happy to come. And of course, if you want to help us get there, you can always donate if you want. Our website, vofhq.com, has a donate button on it if you feel the urge. Every dollar gets another litre or whatever it is in the car for fuel and gets us on the road. So thank you for any support you can give. There is news on the shirts, designs coming in the works. As I say, today I had a very big chat with Auntie Glenda, and I'm very hopeful that we will come up with a new design that will unite all of us. So hopefully that'll come up sooner rather than later in the design phase. But of course, that all takes time. Patience, patience, patience. Isn't that what a certain former / current American president used to say? Patience, patience, patience. That's what we all have to learn. Come to Goulburn. Yes, Michael. I think Goulburn is more than a plan. So, Michael, I'll nominate you as the person for Goulburn. Send me an email. We need a room. You tell me what dates. We'll be there. The theory is I'm going to go to Melbourne until the end of the first week of October. Depending, Tasmania wants me to come over to Tasmania. There's a couple of people there who are very keen to do a show, but I haven't had anybody stick their hand up and say they're going to organise one yet. So if you're in Tasmania and you want to organise one, let me know. I'll be able to come to Tasmania after the 8th of October and happy to come down for a day, 2 days, a week, whatever it happens to be. But I'll probably have to fly down rather than catch the boat. I don't know which one's more expensive, so we'll take the cheapest option. If it's driving, that's driving. I'm boat on the car, happy to do that. I can bring gear that way. Otherwise, you're going to need to put up a screen and a PA system. Outside of that, I'll be coming back this way via Sydney. So there are plans to do a show in Canberra. There are plans, maybe, Michael, to do a show in Goulburn. I know there are some people down on the south coast that are a bit keen. Shell Harbour, Nowra, Wollongong area. We can do something down there. Also, Ellalong, Newcastle and Coffs Harbour have nominated that they would like us to call in and do a show there on the way back up. So think of the last couple of weeks of October, maybe. Draw a line somewhere between Melbourne and Brisbane, and we're happy to go anywhere there. In November, north, going to Rockhampton, I hope, or Rockhampton and Yeppoon, Mackay, Townsville and Cairns. That's the plan for November. Looking forward to meeting you on the road if that is the case. And of course, your comments and everything are always welcome here. You can always send me a note to carl@vofhq.com. My emails are pretty full at the moment. I managed to knock over about 300 this morning. I'll try and get through a few more tonight and hopefully bring my inbox back into some semblance of decency, and I will return emails to those of you that are waiting on sort of a reply. So thank you once again, folks, for all the help that you've given us. Carl, King Charles wants me to come to England. Not likely, not unless it's for the hanging. Yeah, no, that'd be an interesting trip, though. Maybe they could arrange a royal ride for me, so to speak. Okay, after the live stream, check my email. Thank you, Peter. I will do that. The Put the Tukapi, ending slavery is what it's all about. That's exactly right. It's unfortunate that most of the slaves don't realise that they are. There is going to be a catalyst. Okay. I don't know if I told you this the other day or not. Did I tell you to go and watch Moonfall? If you happen to have Amazon Prime, I'm sure that's what I watched it on. A movie called Moonfall. It's a new one out. I just thought it was a very interesting proposition, well worth you going and having a look at, and love to get your thoughts on that too. I'm not getting into the flat Earth theory. I'm not getting into aliens. I'm not getting into those sorts of conversations. What I am pointing out is the sorts of movies that we're seeing on the TV, the sorts of movies that are being made on those content channels like Netflix, which is basically totally Luciferian. Netflix particularly, Amazon Prime not so much, seems to be a little bit the other way. But Stan seems to be middle of the road as well. But go and have a look at Moonfall. It's just a really interesting little idea. And then if you've got a really good telescope, go and have a look at the moon. That's all I'll say. Most slaves are very happy being ruled over as slaves. Absolutely, Aaron. It requires less thinking. Unfortunately, I think we've just all become lazy. We've got to a point where we don't worry about the consequences of the decisions we make. The decisions we make are based on desire, on need, on want, more than need, I think, in most cases. And it's like, I want that car. No, I may not necessarily be able to afford it, but I'll make other concessions in my life so that I can afford it. And you wind up on the bones of your ass paying off a car that's worth nothing by the time you've paid it off. I know that. I've done it so many times and wound up with a bomb that's worth nothing. It's the trap they get you in. It's the trap they get you in. I'm not saying, debt is necessarily bad. Well, I'm saying usury. I'm saying the way that they play with insurance, or not insurance rather, but they play with interest is wrong. And that's part of the slavery trap that we are all in. The debt trap they get us in. People are happy to talk about the debt trap that China use with the Belt and Road project they're trying to put around the world. Our trap is exactly the same on a much grander scale. If you want a new couch, if you want a new fridge, if you want a new TV, you can get it on 60 months interest free at just about any store you want to walk into. And by the time you've paid that off in 60 months, your TV, if it's lucky, is still going. Because they're not made to go more than 61 or 2 months at the most. And if yours is anything like the last 65-inch I bought, it didn't work terribly well from the outset because it wasn't a high-end one. And I think I got about 12 months out of it. When I lost the picture completely, the company took 4 months to say, oh, look, we're just not going to bother replacing it. Here's a credit, go and buy another TV. I didn't. I went and bought the laptop that you're watching this on right now, because no point in having a bloody great TV when you've got no wall to hang it on, is there? So that's what we did, turn it into a laptop. At any rate, folks, that's the update for today. I will potentially give you another little one before tonight. I'm going to be speaking with a couple of people later tonight, but I would recommend to you, don't miss out on Mrs. Guru, Mrs. Bosey, and the world's super producer Kaz when they do their show tonight. It's going to be pretty cool. Stop the Rot, Sack the Lot. You'll find it on Facebook, and they will be very grateful for your attendance tonight. Go and see what Mrs. Bosey has to say. CPN, you're saying far too many nice things. Are you saying that I should be the new host of A Current Affair now that Tracy Grimshaw has resigned? I do have the boobs for it. Just saying. They seem to be wanting picking girls. Well, mind you, the boobs are pretty well hidden in this. I'm just saying. All right, let's not talk about my boobs too much. No, I don't think mainstream TV is ever going to be putting me on the air, mate. Not until the world changes, and even then I have my doubts. So, and not my goal. My goal is not to become a TV person. I mean, I have no interest. My interest is talking to you, building a community. That's all I want to build. Because the things that you have already done for us, my daughter and I, you have my undying commitment for the rest of my life. I will fight for you every step of the way. I will fight for you. Because you've helped us, you fought for us. So I will fight for you. And I'll fight any which way they want. So very happy to fight. And very happy to have your support. Thank you so much. And I guess I should mention, because I've had a lot of email, haven't read it all. So we've talked about all of this spraying, all of these aircraft flying around at various different altitudes that seem much lower than anything we would normally expect for chemtrails. We've been talking about why they would be flying over city areas or town areas. I have had a flood of email from professional pilots, from survey companies, not the ones we're tracking, but other survey companies, all offering varying different explanations for what we're seeing. I am very happy to believe a lot of those explanations. Do I know much about laser surveying? The answer to that is absolutely not. Do I know what's required? Do I know what altitudes laser surveying has to take place at? No, I don't. But I'll find out. I have no doubt. And I won't just listen to the people who want to tell me about it. I'll seek out my own information on it so I know it's independent and I'm getting what I need by way of confirmation. Because in this business, we just don't trust what people tell us. We can't. So we need to cross-reference it. We need to try and find independent verification, and that's exactly what we're doing. So please keep sending in that sort of detail. If you have knowledge of why an aircraft, a twin-engine aircraft, flies, half the country away to go and survey a city at somewhere between 9,000 and 14,000 feet, and it's using a laser survey device, tell us. If you're one of those pilots, if you're one of those companies, please contact us. I'm all ears. We have rung those companies, and as some people have said, sure, you get the front of house person who doesn't know the ins and outs of what the aircraft are doing. They're simply the receptionist or whatever. And of course, they're going to sound nervous when you start asking them. Potentially, I haven't made these phone calls, but others have, potentially in an accusatory fashion. What are these aircraft doing flying around? I will say it is interesting that those aircraft, in more than one case, have been tracked in real time while those phone calls have been made, and those aircraft have turned around and returned to base, or diverted off their planned track and gone in a different area. That doesn't necessarily augur well for they're up doing laser surveying, and why would they change direction during the phone call when you point out that we're tracking them? So anyway, it raises all sorts of interesting questions. I say, let's keep asking those questions, and let's hope that people with the wherewithal to supply the answers come forward. We want to hear That's what this is about, your voice. So if you feel I've been unnecessarily attacking you or ignorantly attacking you because I don't understand how survey works or what flight level aircraft need to fly at to do all this, then by all means, please enlighten us. But don't just believe that because you've typed it out and sent it to me, I'm going to believe it. I will cross-reference it. And I did see a rather long YouTube comment from what I suspect is somebody who is fairly well established in the flying game, either a former pilot or current one. Thank you very much, sir, for your advice and your rather witty and pointed reply. I did enjoy it tremendously. Why don't I still fly? Why haven't I gone and got requalified? And yes, I could quite happily get onto a airside if I had a pilot's qualification. 100% right. At the moment, I'm trying to afford to live, not to afford to requalify flying around a Cessna 172 or a 182 or a 209 or whatever. I don't have the money to do it. And when I did get my pilot's training initially, I very soon discovered that nobody wanted to fly with me, if I'm honest, because I do tend to have a bit of fun. I'm a bit jocular. I'm not your average pilot, I suppose. And they just thought, who the hell's going to go and jump in an aircraft with me? And when I said, hey, look, let's all go to Great Keppel Island for the day, nobody came. So I found that flying for me was going to be a very expensive exercise if I was going to be the one paying for it to go everywhere, and I wasn't going to turn it into a career, which is what a lot of young pilots do. They get their hours up and then move on to the bigger birds. That was never my plan. All I ever wanted to do was learn how to fly, to be competent so that should the big fan at the front stop, then I've got a better than average chance of getting it on the ground without winding up in pieces. And I think I've achieved that. So, yeah, I would love to get my pilot's license back. I would love to fly to all these events. But who can afford that? I can't. I mean, I'm struggling to put petrol in the bloody car. How the hell am I going to put petrol in a plane? So there you go. That's why I don't fly anymore. It's simply all about the cost of doing so, and the fact that nobody wanted to get in a plane with me. Wasn't that I was a bad pilot. They couldn't have known that. Nobody had been in a plane with me. So, and I always managed to get back on the ground in one piece. I always say that. So anyway, that's the story about me and learning how to fly. Put it this way, if you and I are on the same aircraft and the pilot has a heart attack, I'm probably your best chance of getting on the ground without crashing, unless you have spent more time behind the wheel than I have. Still no guarantee we're going to get down, but at least I know the principles. We should get close. And let's face it, when you're coming into land, it's a controlled crash anyway. You're ready for it. So that's the way it works. All right, folks. I hope I've explained a little bit of my life there to you. That's been a subject in some comments in the last few days. So hope that clears that out. Has there been, no, there'll be no spicy dart taking in my household or on my aircraft should I ever get a pilot's license again. If you are going to be a spicy dart takey, we'll have you down the back near the oxygen and the nurse. I think that'll be the safest way for you. Bully said you'd fly with me. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, we get enough people together, then we've got to get a bigger aircraft and tow all the gear around with us. But I don't think that's going to happen just between you. I don't know. The Aussie Cossacks got 175,000 followers. They'd probably buy him a light plane by the time he gets out of jail. We'll see what happens. Yes, a Caravan. We have been looking at Caravans. Unfortunately, the Tucson doesn't tow Caravans terribly well. And in fact, a couple of Cherie and her wonderful husband in Singleton have the best solution for us. Something that we could live in, something that we could use as a studio wherever we go. We don't have to impinge on people by sleeping in their spare rooms or in their backyards. But that solution is about 40 foot long, comes with a Chev truck and a big hitch in the back of it and a fairly hefty price tag. So while they are selling their fifth wheeler, the Voice of Freedom currently is not in a position to afford it. I wish we could, because it would be ideal. But 150 grand is probably a bit too much for us at the moment. So we have more modest desires at this point in time, I think, is the best way of describing it. And fingers crossed, you know, if the good Lord wants us to get on the road and do this sort of stuff, then it'll happen. You know, it'll happen. That's the whole reason I'm going back to Queensland for 2 weeks. I need the money. So I've got to go back and do a bit of work for 2 weeks, and that'll put enough fuel in the car to get down to Melbourne and hopefully and do a few things down there. So that's what it's all about, folks. It's all about giving the message, getting the message out, and hopefully coming to join you so we can have a conversation together. That's my goal. If I could get around every town in the country, I would. I really would. Yes, you can rent caravans. Or rent a caravan in the meantime. Like I say, vehicle's not up for towing anything big. We need something because there'd be two of us in it, and we need a studio area to operate out of. If you ever come to a live show, you'll see. I got a 7x5 trailer packed to the rafters full of equipment that we need to put the show on. Amongst other things, we've got tents and sleeping bags and a few other bits and pieces in there, but by and large, it's mostly filled with equipment. So we get a caravan, we'd have to fill the caravan up with all the equipment, and then there's precious little room to put anything to live on in the caravan. So that's why we're juggling all these things. We're looking at, old motorhomes, we're looking at newer motorhomes, we're looking at coaches. I have a license that allows me to drive anything up to a coach, as long as it's not articulated, and I have a bit of experience in larger vehicles as well. So we're looking at all these sorts of things, but every option has a limitation. You can have a great big coach, but what are you going to do when you pull up in a little town? You can't drive around the town and go and get the milk and go and meet the locals in a coach. So that means you've got to put another vehicle on behind it and tow that around. There's another cost. This isn't about incurring costs. This is about passing on information and building communities. So this is how I'm struggling with weighing up what we need to get on the road to do the best we can do. And if you've got an idea, I'm all ears. So this trip, while being great in so many ways, has also highlighted where we have deficiencies, and we've got to do that. We've got to go out and find out, where things aren't working and what doesn't work, so that we can figure out a way to fix it. So I'm sorry that we're living those mistakes together. Ordinarily, I probably like to hide my mistakes, but when you do things like this live, everybody gets to share the mistake. So I apologise for that. Yeah, a bus is what we are looking at. I don't know how to shorten the poop that took a P into something, so I'm just going to call you poop. Yeah, a bus would be ideal. Look, an old motorhome, something that expands so that you've got more room to put people into work, to do editing. We want to start creating little videos from the towns that we go into, start promoting those towns and businesses, so that if you're going on a holiday and you want to go and support the people that are supporting us through this cause, then we'll tell you where the best pubs are, the best fish and chips, the best restaurants, the best caravan parks, the best everything in those towns. If they're going to get behind us, we certainly are going to get behind them. And in fact, as we were talking the other night with Brad, with the red ensign on the roof of the Cali, we're now going to start a concerted effort, and I will have David on in the next couple of days to discuss how we are going to push this red ensign thing and see whether or not we can't get a trail, not unlike the painted silo trail throughout Victoria, South Australia, and I think Western New South Wales, only this time with the red ensign. I know that Kerry from the Wollongara Hotel, the one we were going to open up for her on the 1st of September until officialdom came in and said, you can't open yet. Kerry wants to have the red ensign put on her roof. She is right on the border of New South Wales and Queensland on the New England. So we're thinking about seeing how many businesses we can get along the New England Highway that would like to put the red ensign on their roof. That's a trail worth following. If you've got a business and you live along that bit of road, we'd love to hear from you. In fact, if you've got a business that lives along any main road and you'd like to put the red ensign on your roof, we'd like to hear from you. In fact, we can help you do that at a really good price. Nothing. Cheap. Really cheap. Nothing. So get in contact. If you want the red ensign on your roof to show your support, we can do something about, and then we're going to go to work on that. Yes, they didn't like us being at the pub, Mike. Pardon me. In fact, we had a couple of Freemasons turn up. You might have noticed one of them towards the end of the broadcast on the Friday night, wearing the ring even. So it was a pretty interesting time. And we do see these people come out, and that's what part of what I do is about, drawing them out so we can identify them in our community. Because they're not going to come out and scare me. They can come out and ask me any question they like. But I won't entertain them. I won't play with them. I'm not going to give them the credit they think they're due. So eventually they'll figure out not to come to the shows, because all I'm doing is exposing them. So if you want to figure out who they are in your community, we can help you do that too. There are ways and means, all legal, all lawful, nothing sneaky, nothing underhanded. It's nice to know who these people are, though. So River Table, is he on? Is River Table in? Now, River's been at the court all day, I think, with the Aussie Cossack. So congratulations to River. Thank you for going down there, mate. I got stuck in Wollongong and then got to Cronulla, and my daughter informed me after a magnificent meeting with Auntie Glenda that she left, I don't know how much makeup, but apparently makeup is an expensive thing, and she left all of it in a bag at the place we stayed in Wollongong. So we drove back to Wollongong again, picked that up, and then drove back to Sydney. So it's been a wonderful day on the road. Unfortunately, I would have been at the courthouse and caught up with you, River, if I hadn't had to catch up twice in Wollongong today. But anyway, it happens. Thank you very much for going, mate, and at least waving the flag on behalf of the freedom fighters everywhere. And if you've only just joined us, folks, great news on the Aussie Cossack. He will be released on Friday morning, we believe. Today, successful in the Downing Centre Court with a release date of the 16th brought down. So very exciting news. No restrictions either, apparently, on anything that he is going to do. So he'll be able to come out and speak on social media, and I have no doubt he'll be reigniting the Aussie Cossack channel and something else I think he's been working on in the background very soon. And he has been writing a book, so we'll see what happens with the book. I think it's a self-published thing, so I dare say in the next month or so you might find that there is a story about what he's been through, particularly in the jails, and leading up to that. It'll be a good read. It'll be a great read. So much more coming. Jamie, on parole. Okay, all right. So, Prophet, interesting question. Interesting question. Yeah, we were all a bit surprised to see Mac on the Aussie Cossack channel. What can I say about that? I can say we were a bit surprised to see Mac on the Aussie Cossack channel. We're a bit surprised to see Mac full stop. But everybody has a right to raise their points. So very interesting to see Mac. Just leave it at that. I don't know. I don't know how close they are. I don't know what plans there are for the future with Mac and the Aussie Cossack. In fact, I don't know what plans the Aussie Cossack has for the Aussie Cossack, let alone anybody else. So we will find out, I'm sure, in the coming days, weeks and months. I'm going to get off now because I'm probably going to get myself in trouble. And I've just been given the 15-minute warning that there is a lamb roast for dinner, and I'm not missing that for anyone. So I'll go in, try and get my hair in alignment, and sit down and have a beautiful dinner. So, yeah, there are going to be more conversations, I think, about what is to come in the future. There are a lot of people in the freedom movement who say a lot of things. Some I support, some I don't. Some I am vocally supporting, some I am vocally not supporting. Mac would be one I am vocally not supporting. You get no support out of me for Mac at all. And I think if you are a discerning person in this movement, you will know why. If you don't, then that's your first test. Go out and find out why I might think that. That's why you've never seen Mac on my channel, and I have had people approach me to say, "Oh, you've got to get Mac on," and all that. Well, no, I don't. I find I'm happy to give the voice to people who are pulling the right rope, pulling in the right direction, working for us, for a unified solution, not working for themselves, not bringing their own ego-driven solution to present to us all. And when it's criticized, they get upset, they get angry, they get personal. It's not going to work. We need a solution that works for all of us. And I hope to be able to bring you the people who are presenting their solutions. Now, I don't believe for one second any one person I present to you has the solution. But I do believe that we together, all of us, need to watch these people closely, because within each of their solutions, there might be part of our solution, the main solution for all of us, the unified solution. And I do believe that that unified solution is going to come from different areas. The part that Fitz and I want is trial by jury from Magna Carta 1215. Trial by jury. That's it. There are 63 articles in the Magna Carta 1215. We simply want trial by jury because that's the people keeping the bastards honest. Aside from that, yes, of course, we are going to need some form of government, but government is going to answer to the people, not the other way around. Yes, of course, there will need to be laws. There will need to be, well, let's call it legislation for the time being, because that's what we understand the term to be, but there might be another term for it in the future. But yes, we will need framework. We will need lawful framework. Nobody is speaking about setting the world on fire and letting everybody run naked into the night. That isn't going to happen. But we all need to consider what our solution will be, what our new constitution will look like. And to get a good idea of what a new constitution should look like, I think we should look at everybody's solution with the understanding that nobody currently has the solution. Now, as soon as everybody waving their solution around can put their ego to one side and present their solution in a way to us all where we can decide what we want from it or whether or not it's really the solution, then there's not much point in just having them on, because I'm only going to hurt their egos. Don't want to do that. We want to find a solution. So everybody, in my opinion, and it was a portion of a couple of conversations that I've had over the last couple of days, ego is the biggest problem that we have. All right? Ego is the biggest problem we have. The people who come up with a solution say, I've got it, follow me. That's just going to get us back into the same shit we're in right now. I'm not telling you I have a solution. I'm telling you I have something of a solution, trial by jury. I think that is the largest part of the solution, because if we, the people, have control of the judiciary, if we, the people, have control of justice, then justice will be served. Intent will be taken into account. The simple fact that you've lived in the community and being judged by the people from your community who've known you will help all of this come through and let us all rise above what's coming. But at the moment, the people are the weapon. Oh, somebody's just written that. Lynn. Lovely. Yes, the people are the weapon. And Magna Carta 1215 was written by the people for the people. The people. Magna Carta 1215 is the weapon. Trial by jury is the weapon. We just all have to come together, because each one of us is a small part of that weapon. Think of it like grains of rice. 1 grain of rice, 2 grains of rice coming together, nothing real good. You bring a pot of rice together, you can build a pretty, handgun-sized weapon. But you bring all the people together, you bring a weapon that is insurmountable to the party. There isn't a military on earth, there isn't a police force on earth who can stand up to us. The ultimate solution. The people. I reckon I'm going to leave you on that one. I don't want to start preaching about it. So I just want you to think about it. Be the weapon. Be the weapon. The lawful weapon. The peaceful weapon. Because that weapon is the ultimate solution, I promise you. I promise you. That in conjunction with all the other bits and pieces that we will get from the other people who are putting forward parts of a solution. Not the solution, just parts. We have to think about this, what we're going to create going forward. We don't have to do it now. We don't have to do it today. We don't have to create it tomorrow. But we do have to start thinking about it because it's going to come to us in the not too distant future, is my belief. And we'll have 3 months to figure it out before we are set to vote on it. So go with that as you will. All right, I'm going off to go and get the roast before I get roasted. Absolutely well done, Christoph. Thank you, folks, for joining us again tonight. I will potentially do another one a little later on if I get a little bit more intel I'm hoping to get. But if not, I will do something tomorrow. Tomorrow, I think we will have a few hours in the morning where we can do a few things. And one of those things might be taking a bit of a run up into the Blue Mountains to have a bit of a look. So if we get to somewhere pretty, I might do a live from somewhere in the Blue Mountains tomorrow morning, and we'll have a bit of a talk then. Thank you very much for your support. As always, folks, VoFHQ.com is the website. You can check out Magna Carta 1215 there. Apparently, I can now start writing blogs. I just have to go and see Vince to find out how. So I'll get something like that happening, hopefully very shortly. We're also going to be launching a new Magna Carta Learning Centre through VoFHQ.com, a common law group. So if you want to come and join our common law group online, then Fitz will be part of that as well. Then that's all going to be put up in the next little while. I'll have a time tonight to set out a few emails, I hope, and get the planning started. But sooner rather than later, all that will start on VoFHQ.com. And like I say, if you'd like to throw us a few bucks to keep us on the road, then great. And if you don't want to do that, then that's great too. Folks, have a great night. All power to the Aussie Cossack. Out on Friday. We're looking forward to hearing from him. I can't wait to see that first broadcast. It's just going to be great. And I look forward to your company when we come back again. Don't forget tonight, Mrs. Cossack, not Mrs. Cossack, I beg your pardon, Mrs. Bosey, Guru's wife, Mel, and the super producer, Kaz. Go and check him out. Stop the Rot, Sack the Lot. That's on Facebook tonight, getting underway, I want to say, from about 6:30. So go and check that one out. Thanks, folks. Have a great night. I'm off to the roast.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up.
Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life.
It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's rock!